What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the new movie Last Night in Soho. This one's starring Thomasin McKenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy, Matt Smith, and is directed by Edgar Wright. The story for this one goes like this. An aspiring fashion designer is mysteriously able to enter the 1960s, where she encounters a dazzling wannabe singer. However, the glamour is not all it appears to be, and the dreams of the past start to crack and splinter into something darker. I wouldn't call myself an Edgar Wright superfan, but I do really enjoy a few of his films like Baby Driver, Shaun of the Dead, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. When Last Night in Soho was announced, it intrigued me though. This was a place we had never seen Edgar Wright go before. His films are usually comedic, fast-paced, and concise, which we still get to an extent in Last Night in Soho, but this time it's wrapped around this glitz and glam 60s horror mystery. A setup so outside of his wheelhouse in the usual landscape that he likes to play in that I was patiently waiting for the end result we'd see before us. Now, in the trailer, you see equal parts Thomasin McKenzie and equal parts Anya Taylor-Joy, but this is really Thomasin McKenzie's movie, and she's fantastic in it. I think she solidifies herself as an up-and-coming star after her performance in Jojo Rabbit and her performance in this. She's really fun to watch, and her acting almost seems effortless here. From the opening scene alone, she already has us on her side and rooting for her. Anya Taylor-Joy does a really solid job here too, but I wish we ended up getting more of her. She's more of a supporting role than I initially thought, but she fits perfectly into this 60s environment and steals the scene whenever she's on screen. She really gets to show off her talents and prove that she's a triple threat here too, doing a lot of singing and dancing alongside her performance. I want to talk about Edgar Wright's perception and the cinematography here because the set design and the visuals in this movie are beautiful. The aesthetic shown in this film of Soho in the 60s is intoxicating and addicting. Smoke-filled streets surrounded by beautiful architecture, neon lights, and bustling nightclubs. It's all a detailed and elegant love letter to a period of time that Edgar Wright clearly has a lot of affection for, and it feels much more lived in due to his admiration. This setting, mixed with Edgar Wright's signature eye, result in some truly mesmerizing scenes throughout this movie. One in particular is during a dance scene in a nightclub between Matt Smith and Anya Taylor-Joy. And during this scene, it seamlessly cuts back and forth with Matt Smith's dance partner being Anya Taylor-Joy and then Thomasin McKenzie, and then back over and over again in a hypnotic sequence. It's really cool to watch, and it ends up being one of those how the hell did they pull that off type of scenes. And to top it all off here, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Edgar Wright is known for always cultivating a memorable and enjoyable playlist to go along with his films, and Last Night in Soho is no different. When it comes to the structure and overall flow of the story, I really liked how the first and second act moved, but I felt that the third act didn't quite keep pace in terms of speed and substance. I was expecting a little bit of a better and more substantial payoff in the end, and the charm began to wear off for me a little bit after a while. There are two major twists in the movie. The first one I was able to see coming from a mile away, and the second one I think will be hit or miss with most audiences. This movie has a great build-up through the first and second act, but then I felt things were rushed and forced a bit to make the conflicts work in the end. There were some loose ends that didn't end up getting tied for me. I loved the horror aspects of this film, but felt that they might have been repeated one too many times, which changed them from being jarring and effective to something we were expecting in later scenes. It's still visually fun to watch, but I think that it's below Edgar Wright's usual work and the standards set by the earlier portions of the film. It just seems like he's still honing his horror skills, which is totally fine since this is his first outing in the genre. And although this one didn't totally work for me, I want to see him continue to play in this environment. Last Night in Soho gets a Sully score of 7.8. Last Night in Soho is 2/3 of a very good movie that loses steam and becomes decently conventional as it tries to wrap itself up into a satisfying conclusion that leaves a lot to be desired. It's not close to Edgar Wright's best work, but the performances, the visuals, and the music provide plenty to enjoy, and it leaves me wanting him to take another crack at the horror genre. So that's my review of Last Night in Soho. Let me know if you're gonna go check this one out in the comments comments below. And if you like new movie reviews, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so that I know you enjoy this type of content. And I'll see you guys at the next video.